Hurt people hurt people. Four simple words that manage to explain so many horrors in our society. And it's something that I feel Takopi's Original Sin conveys beautifully, if not painfully. Without a doubt, Takopi's Original Sin is a masterpiece of not only creative directing and amazing animation, but in how it tackles two very tough subject matters in a creative and thought-provoking way. These two things being bullying and abuse. Sadly, most every single person in the world has experienced or witnessed either bullying or abuse of some sort. So it's honestly a very touchy subject. And while Takopi's Original Sin does have a sci-fi fantastical twist to it, it's a very real story of domestic abuse, bullying, trauma, and even manipulation. Before I go any further, a bit of a warning here. In this video, I'm going to get a little spoilery for Takopi's Original Sin. Not for any of the big plot twists or turns or whatnot in the story, but in order to get my feelings across on the series itself, I feel like I need to at least touch on some of the early to middle plot points or so. But if you don't mind spoilers, or you just need that extra push to watch the show, or you watched it already and need somebody to confirm your feelings on the show, or you're just bored and you clicked on this video, let's just dive into what makes Takopi's Original Sin a masterpiece. But first, what is this series about? It follows an alien from the planet of happiness, and this person meets a young girl named Shizuka. Being that they're from a planet of happiness, the alien's goal is to bring happiness to other planets. After Shizuka gives this alien some much needed food, he immediately gets to work, offering to use his magic to make her happy. However, Shizuka has a big problem. She doesn't believe in magic. Not only that, but Shizuka's life in general isn't going well. That's due in part by many problems in her life. For one, her father left her home. Then there's the fact that her mother is barely ever home. Then to top it all off, her current pressing matter. Shizuka is extremely, constantly bullied. One of the major culprits of this bullying is her classmate Marina. By all signs, Marina seems to find Shizuka's presence an eyesore, and she wants Shizuka to just cease to exist. Shizuka is the root of all of her problems at home. See, Shizuka's mom, who's never at home, works as an escort, and one of her clients is Marina's dad. So what this means for Marina is her father being unfaithful to her mother, the lack of money that they have, her mother being broken and becoming abusive. All of this is because Shizuka and her family. Her old, happy, cheerful family is now broken because of this girl in her class. All of this alien that Shizuka names Takopi, tries desperately to understand. Why do humans hurt each other? Why don't they just talk to each other? Are they actually having fun with each other? Wow, she's yelling a lot. She must be really happy. A pure, innocent alien from a planet of happiness just trying to comprehend what it's witnessing. And sadly, for most with an empathetic mind, it's relatable, understandable, disgusting, painful, and something we don't really wish upon another person. Truth be told, when I started watching this series, I figured it would just simply be that. A story of humanity's worst witnessed by a pure, innocent being. But it was really the moment when Takopi first witnesses Marina's household that it became clear to me that this writer wasn't just going to make this simply a bullying story. There's a realization moment that hits you, that this is more complicated than just that. This is a simple yet extremely complicated chain of pain that seems nearly impossible to correct. Well, besides just getting these children away from their parents. Yes, the root cause is bad parents, making bad mistakes without the concern of how it affects their children. Both being in elementary school, these two are heavily reliant on their parents, and the impact of their lifestyles directly impacts their kids. Shizuka, for one, is without a parent to guide her as she matures, correct her mistakes, or simply tell her to bathe because she stinks. Her only home experience is her dog Choppy. Besides that, she's alone, isolated, and experiences nothing but pain. Marina faces physical and psychological abuse from her mother daily, witnesses countless fights between her parents, and can't even escape at school because Shizuka is a reminder to her what broke her family. It's all painful to watch, and the series' way of handling it is raw and unfiltered. I give the team at Nishia massive credit for choosing, instead of censoring it for audiences, to show the uncensored and, in often cases, much more graphic depiction of the story. Something seemingly discussed beforehand because as the series opens up, it gives a message to the viewer. We're not going to censor anything. This is the raw story. We're not going to hold anything back. Watch at your own discretion. They chose this route in respect of the author and the story they were telling. Why this is important is because there is an obvious message in this series. It's not violence for the sake of the shock value. At its core, it's a depiction of how hurt individuals hurt other individuals, and how, from an outsider's perspective, it could be downright confusing. But Takopi surprisingly isn't just about a foreign perspective of something that we're all familiar with. He also gives us an interesting look into the biases that individuals have. One of the most interesting things that happened during the airing of this show was a lot of the discourse around Mina specifically. People weren't mad at the writing of the show. They were upset, rightfully so, about the bullying itself. They hated Mina. They wanted her dead, which most wouldn't blame them. She's a bully. The stuff that she does to Shizuka is horrific, and by all signs, her reasoning for doing so is wrong. Shizuka herself did nothing wrong, and she is being horribly treated. I think because of the raw nature of the depiction of the story, it's sadly relatable to a lot of people. For a story to invoke such emotion from people is truly a testament to how well it was done. To have people mad from a show, not at a show. But it also did cause a bit of self-reflection for me personally. That when it comes to empathy, it's a hard sell for a lot of people, which I think is due to lived experiences of individuals. Me personally, I was bullied as a kid. I mean, you couldn't tell by the fact that I'm chunky, right? I was bullied as a kid. Not to the levels of Shizuka all the time, thank God. But many of the fears of leaving the bathroom stall, being called behind the school, being attacked physically, being mocked in class, being called a fatty for me personally. All that. But I think as I grew up, I look back and I realized how senseless it was. How senseless bullying itself is. And I would hope that those that did the bullying realize that as well. And hopefully instilled it upon their children how wrong it is. But I think my own maturing also made me realize that I can see how one's pain can cause another person's pain. How sometimes the bully is the bullied. To this story, how Mina's parents can create a bully. Yes, I'm talking empathy for the bully. Something I would never ask another person to do. But it's something I felt watching this series. The moment that Mina enters her house and realizes, oh, what will mother do to me today? What is mother's state of mind right now? It just clicked for me. Here is the real bully. Here is the rot, basically. Here's where it all starts. It's not to say that Mina is innocent or everyone should forgive her for what she does to Shizuka, because it's, again, downright wrong. But also to know a problem can't be solved unless you find the root cause. A strong message amidst a very, very painful story that really clicked for me. Without a doubt, Mina's story is one of the most impactful part of this entire show. Which is funny because I was bullied when I was growing up. You would think that I wouldn't like her story, but I think it's really in seeing how a bully is made and how my own assumptions can be flipped on its head that really got me. That all brings me back to my point earlier. Takopi, the alien's role in showing perspective biases. What I would call the evil is in the eye of the beholder moments. Takopi provides multiple interesting looks into how individuals, based on their perspectives, see where evil stems from. Whether it's early moments of Mina's mother, or later moments that look into sort of a what-if scenario, for the lack of a better term. It's a clever way of showing that no matter where the break happens, people can ultimately turn in directions that can damage others. But I don't want to get too much into the details on that in this particular video. I'll leave that for people to experience on their own by watching the show. If you're interested, I've done full episode breakdowns of every single episode, so go check those out. But Takopi is an interesting element to include in this series though. If not for perspective, but also for the magic tools. His gadgets from his happy homeland that each create different magical results. Disguising himself as someone, wings that make you fly, and so much more. For the most part, they just sort of add a comedic twist or kind of just break up moments, but also help sort of create opportunities for expanding individual characters. One of those moments being Takopi himself, disguising himself as Shizuka and getting a, unfortunately, first-hand look at the more violent side of Mina. The last of our cast, though, is Naoki Azuma. Naoki serves as sort of a catalyst for an interesting change in Shizuka that I found very clever. Slowly kind of showing a different side of her that we've never seen before. But also to his character, yes, he also is another example of seeing how the home can form the child. How extreme expectations on a child can really warp their minds with insecurity. Seeing how this skews his way of thinking around Shizuka and how she seemingly takes advantage of that, manages to really complicate things in the midpoint of the series. I honestly really wasn't expecting much from Naoki's character from the beginning, but I found a lot of his struggles to break from his brother's shadow, and really the way that he misinterprets his brother, to be really relatable. And honestly, a lot of what the studio did around Naoki's segments really did solidify me the work that they did was just pure brilliance. They leaned heavily on his size, as adults and his big brother, all seemingly giants around him, just came boring down upon him. Which I think is a great transition point to getting into one of the biggest reasons why Takopi's Original Sin is just amazing. Yes, the adaptation itself. Let me say, or rather express, The team at Nishia created what I would have no hesitation in saying a visual masterpiece. Absolute cinema kind of stuff here. The source material itself is a very unique style, and I feel like they managed to both capture that while also making it come to life on the screen. Not just a one-to-one portrayal, but something that actually is enhanced by what animation can bring it. Utilizing dark and light scenes to convey both emotion and the state of the characters, or the divide two characters can feel in their life. Using animated fisheye lens effects to portray a character's fears, isolation, that kind of stuff. Every scene at Marina's home was both haunting and masterfully done. Whether it's the first meet of Marina's mother, and how she slowly confronts Marina while the lighting just shifts over her. Or the other scene that we'll just call the refrigerator scene. They were all just brilliantly done by how terrified I was as to what was going to happen. Around Naoki, I love the portrayal of how isolated he felt from his mother at the dinner table, or how he feared his brother when he's confronted several times. Then there's Shizuka, and how they portrayed her shifting emotions, from being dead inside to finding momentary joy, the lapse in time frame between being somewhat normal and just being broken, how they convey some of the manipulation. The fluid animation, the brilliant timing, the artistic use of bright and dark colors and lighting, all that led to a show that lets you feel through what you see. I cannot express enough, the team poured massive amounts of hard work into this to make it stand out from just being an adaptation. It's something that makes it stand out on its own, even if you experience both. And that's not all. The voice work for the characters was pure brilliance. Be it Shizuka's many sides, Naoki's slow breakdown, or one of the many painful moments of Marina and her mother. Man, Marina and her mother. I know I'm being a dead horse here. These two seiyus deserve an award for their work. Her mother was so terrifying, and hearing Marina's terrified, screaming voice sealed every single one of those scenes for me. I remember seeing the post by the seiyu of Marina's mother, being a mother herself. It seemed her work in voicing that role was really hard on her. It's sort of something that solidifies my love for the work that all these seiyus do. How their efforts can really make a scene. It's like with sound design, it's like with music and ambience. All this stuff makes it more believable. The extra work to animation makes it believable. Again, like I said before, and I'll say it in the end here, Takopi's original sin is a masterpiece. The passion and work behind its adaptation, the brilliant writing that this writer did, the painful but important messaging that it portrays, and the bold way that it concludes its story is an unfiltered and impactful view of hurt people. And in the end, while magic can't solve everything, and Takopi can't help everyone, hurt people can also help each other. So, reach out to somebody.